This is the Drive-In Podcast. Take one. Bada bing, bada boom. Welcome to episode 134 of the Drive-In Podcast. On today's episode, we have the checkup with yours truly, Dr. O, featuring a DC Films update and a Wizard of Oz remake. So use the bathroom now, grab that popcorn, and enjoy episode 134 of the Drive-In Podcast. Howdy doody. Welcome to episode 134 of TDI. This is Dr. O on the horn to start per usual. I'm joined by my co-host, my best friend, and I would say our DC aficionado, but there's not a lot of ton going on in the movie world right now. Ricky Flicks. How are you, my friend? We're recording a day later than usual this week, right? Things are slow, but how are you keeping busy?
Things are so slow. It's crazy. I am disappointed, but how am I keeping busy? I started a new show.
Nice.
I started Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yeah. How many you watch?
I watched the first season.
How fast?
Week. But like I watched like 3 in a row. Like you watch multiple in a sitting. Like definitely better than expected. I understand why everyone loves it. It's like similar to Ted Lasso, where like the show isn't like amazing, but like it's so charming and so well, like you understand why everyone loves it. It's just a nice show to watch. I don't know. It's just like fun.
I agree. Like the Ted Lasso comparison, I think is spot on. It's got like Jason Sudeikis, such a lovable character, like familiar with audiences. Here, you have like Steve Martin and Martin Short, like collaborating for the first time in so long, like lifelong pals, career-long pals, I should say. Then Selena Gomez. It's just an interesting dynamic between the old and the new audiences, and you get some nice cameos in there. And like it feels like anyone could show up at any moment for like a cameo, just because those two have worked in the industry for so long, talking about Short and Martin, and then Selena Gomez, such a popular figure. Charming, I think, is the best word for it. And new episodes for season 2 are still coming out weekly. I'm not sure what days they come out, but I just caught up. It's interesting you brought this up. I just caught up with the newest season yesterday, and I just cranked out like 3 episodes.
And another thing is, I would say, is that I am surprised how much I like Martin Short. I am not a big Martin Short guy. Now I am. I love him in this.
It's the best part about that show, man. He is so funny.
I just never like. I think of Santa Claus Escape Clause, like the third one, and I'm just like, I am not a Martin Short guy whatsoever. But watching the show, he just completely changed me. I'm shocked how much I've changed. And Steve Martin still hits it. Selena Gomez, good. I know there's a lot of backlash over like the Emmys, her not getting nominated, but to be honest, she is the worst one out of the 3 for sure. Like not even close. You could clearly see like the levels off if you like compare the 3.
She's she's so much more subdued than the both.
Yeah,
you know, like Martin Short's just high energy all the time, bouncing off the walls. Steve Martin's kind of in a panic state a lot of the time, and then she's just like, "Dudes, come on!" You know, I don't know how to describe her. She's always the same tone for the entire show, no matter the situation.
Yeah, it's just there's no depth at all. Like you could say, oh, well, she's had traumatic experience and yada yada yada. But like to be honest, it's just all one note the entire time. And even in the second season now, I just started it and I don't know, it's the same thing except in a different environment. And I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen it. But what I will say is I highly recommend this show. 30-minute episodes, really quick on Hulu. Like, if you haven't seen it, but I bet you have, because I think I'm the last person to start it, go see it.
Super bingeable. Also makes it very similar to Ted Lasso. You know, it's just like you'll watch 4 episodes and only 2 hours have gone by. You know, it's kind of nuts in that regard. In this day and age of streaming, especially with such big stars. I got to tell you, Ricky Flex, I've been storming through content with this lack of like new releases that have been coming out, or I guess I just feel like I've been going back. I watched Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers because you had such high regards, a top 10 film of 2022 for you. I got to say, Ricky, it was hilarious. That was so funny movie. Like, I think after the first 10 minutes, like I was rolling my eyes. I'm like, okay, I assume based on Ricky's reaction to this movie and review on the podcast, eventually there's going to be a point where I'm thinking I'm going to start digging this movie. And I think that moment came when Dale starts to go to those conventions after he breaks up with Chip and Rescue Rangers gets canceled. It's when he meets like Fat Sonic or Ugly Sonic, excuse
Ugly
me.
Sonic.
But there is a shtick in that movie that I could not stop laughing. I was like howling like a hyena, I would say, when it would be whenever they're talking to Ugly Sonic, they would just zoom in on the teeth. And it was just, and they would just go to Chip, who's like the Dale, excuse me, who's like cringing extremely hard at it. It just reminded me like it was like the mole scene in Austin Powers where he's going like mole, 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 mole. Just like pretend it's not there, pretend it's not there. That's like that. I think that's the reference they were trying to make with Chip and Dale staring at Ugly Sonic's teeth. But very funny. I love the references. I was gonna watch a Roger Rabbit afterwards, but I was really falling asleep by the time I finished Rescue Rangers. It was nice, crisp, 80 minutes. And yeah, it wasn't too complex or anything. It was just a nice, fun ride. Like that was a great rec by you. So I just want to thank you for that, Ricky.
Yeah, you're welcome. And when you think of like funniest movies of the year, we haven't had a good comedy year so far. A lot of it is like animation, like The Bad Guys, Sonic 2, Lost City,
The Cage.
Nick Cage, Massive Talent. Like a lot of these aren't like pure comedies, or if they are, they're not like what we saw in the 2000s or even 2010s, you'd say. So like this was like for something like this to be as funny as it was, is just like such a like nice like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice, a little different tone versus like the movies I just said. A lot of them are kid oriented, and this one like had the references clearly for adults, like clearly for adults, which I
It was
like.
so unafraid to make fun of the industry today, which makes it so appealing to adults because we get it and what's happening right now. And kids that age don't really understand what's happening. They much prefer like the old school, like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the adults with the references, but also when they have like the marketing and the posters going around, like ET versus Batman. It's like they're shooting lasers at each other. And they're watching the movie that they have like scenes with ET and like the Batman. It's kind of crazy. And just like the CGI machine and the bootlegs and the black market and things like that. It's gonna go way over like a 7-year-old's head. But if the parents are watching, they're gonna crack up watching it. You know, they're just gonna have a great time. So that was great. I do also want to say a movie we talked about. What's a movie, Ricky, that we always talk about that's never on streaming, but we always want to watch it?
So I think I know what you're talking about, and I literally was telling someone last week, I'm going to buy this movie just so I own it. The Heat, or Heat, sorry.
Yes, I watch it. It's streaming right now, Ricky Flicks.
Where?
I think do we share Amazon? But or maybe you have access to my Amazon account. But I have a Stars subscription somehow. I think they hooked it up themselves. I don't know. I don't recall ever signing up. It might have been late on a Saturday night, and I was just like, I really want to watch like the newest Spider-Man movie, and I just like hooked up Stars or whatever. But Heat is streaming on Stars, so if you have Stars and it's hooked up to your Amazon Prime, you can watch it. So I watched Heat this past weekend.
Oh my Lord.
And man, I haven't seen it in so long. It's been years. As we said, it's not on cable. It's not a TNT movie. It's not an AMC movie. It's not a streaming service movie. So when it's really valuable whenever you have an opportunity to watch it. And the movie, first of all, the heist scenes are like top notch. They're like arguably the best heist scenes that have ever been filmed in movies, right? Like whether it's the first either the first heist scene and like the 25-minute sequence that it takes and like trying to like pop the tires as they're coming by, all right? And then also like Val Kilmer like coming out of nowhere with the machine gun. It's just like it's crazy. But then you have the later on heist scene when the big job goes down, right? And you got Pacino finally having a shootout with his guys, his cops, with De Niro and the boys. Then like that moment's also like a 30-minute sequence, like incredible action sequences. But what really makes the movie to me is that one-on-one scene with De Niro and Pacino in the coffee shop. Like cinephiles like you and me, like that, those moments are so rare. Because last time these guys were in a movie with the Irish, we saw them on screen for a predominant amount of time in The Irishman, and then we get them in like basically really precious moments in Heat. because even though they're the two co-leads in this movie and like their characters are paralleled throughout the entire film, there are very, very, very few moments where you actually see them in one frame. And obviously they were in Godfather 2 together, and they never shared a scene, obviously, because it's taking place two different timelines. But that moment is just so incredible. So you're just watching two goats go head to head. And I don't think anything even compares like between two actors today going at it, like Pacino and De Niro in Heat. It's crazy.
That's why that movie was revolutionary for that reason. Like arguably the two goats, like literally at the coffee shop is like the what we've always wanted to see, just dialogue with the two of them. And I was just thinking 90s, you have Heat, right? Uh, for me, LA Confidential, Seven, Fight Club, like those four movies are probably in my top 10. And I'm just
Pulp.
thinking, is that Pulp Fiction? Probably also my top 10.
90s were
Shawshank,
bangers. Usual
dude,
Suspect, 95.
that's probably my favorite decade of movies.
It's got to be. It's got to
I
be.
like the 80s was like, the 80s tropes. We did an 80s draft on it. You either had the rom-coms or high school stories or just way over the top action. We talked about Predator last week, right? And Lethal Weapon and like those type of franchises. And then like the 2000s, kind of like the comedy era that I referred to with Chip and Dale, how we don't see those anymore. And then you had like, yeah, you throw in like There Will Be Blood and No Country, but like ever since then, like I don't know. So it's like weird how like the 90s, which people like can hate on the 90s all you want, but kind of not saved movies, but like put it in the forefront where like Hollywood was Hollywood. You were an A-lister, you were like the hot celebrity across like all industries. Like just movies in the 90s were just different.
And
And
there were
this like
a lot of those movies were like standalone movies too. Like the 80s was like the birth of the blockbuster. The
right.
90s was like a return to the 70s and like the focus on the movie star rather than the IP. You know, it's not Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Star Trek, or anything like that. It's like, oh, we got
Yes.
Pacino and De Niro like in a movie. And we have Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt in a movie with Seven, with David Fincher as a director, like Pulp Fiction. Here comes John Travolta's comeback in the birth of Samuel L. Jackson. It's not like, oh my God, did you see like the story that this is based on or adapted from? It's more like, do you see who's in this movie and what this movie is about? And Heat, what's great about it too, it doesn't feel old. For even by the fact that it has Pacino and De Niro in it, when you think obviously people that have spanned like 5 decades and a whole generation of movies, like when you watch it, it feels very up to date. It's like fast, it's sleek. The score from Michael Mann is so goddamn good. But as much as I love that movie, like there are a bunch of like plots, like subplots, storylines that are going on that I'm like, this movie doesn't have to be 3 hours long. I think I like Collateral better than Heat.
Wow.
It's Collateral. I
Challenge.
I think
Challenge.
I think this is a potential debate we can have on this podcast because I think people would also argue. I think Michael Mann's first movie was Thief in '82 with James
Yeah.
Caan, rest in peace. But like I think the
Good
ones that
movie.
people talk about most is definitely Heat versus Collateral. But I think Tom Cruise is on another level. Jamie Foxx is also very good. You could obviously argue Pacino's hamming it the f up in Heat, and De Niro might actually be outperforming Pacino in that movie.
That's
Supporting cast is also great. It's like it's hard for me because that shootout club scene in Collateral is one of my favorite scenes in movie history.
I think we're forgetting the intro scene in Heat though. Like that is like
The intro, the heist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's arguably like the best heist shot ever. And there's been
right.
so many. I think, man, I can't believe you said that. Like that we have
I
to,
think
now
it's
that you
closer
said
than
it.
you think. Like I
have to rewatch both of them. I haven't
after
seen Heat in a while.
rewatching Heat, like I'm just like, okay, I'm watching. I'm all in on De Niro. I'm all in on Pacino. I'm all in on Kilmer too.
Yes.
Right? Kilmer is actually like fantastic, but like some of like the romantic like subplot that goes on between, especially De Niro's character and like the kind of the liberties they take and like how like it's kind of blown out of proportion what is actually realistic in this situation, and that like is a big part of the movie. Like Heat, like we feel like it could stand as a movie made today, but like it's so unbelievable in some of like the subplots that happen. The Natalie Portman of it all, also terrible. Like Collateral is also just one night and it's much more smaller in scale. And it's basically the focus on the one-on-one between Fox and Cruise, you know? So I love how he does that though. Michael Mann loves like two guys going at it, iconic movie stars, fast, sleek movie. But Michael Mann, man, we need Heat too. We need Heat too.
Yeah, and like the book's coming out. Like he's been promoting that nonstop, Michael Mann on
Yeah.
Twitter. So like the book is coming out. So Heat 2 coming out, movies, I don't know, we'll see. But not to keep talking about this, but it is Heat. I
It's
think
fantastic.
I will put my foot down here. I do think De Niro is better than Pacino in that movie. Like, even though
You
I
know,
think
playing like a cartoon character in that movie with a fat ass and your head all the way up it. Like he's on one, dude. Like it feels like he just snorted a line, says I'm gonna go out there for the next 2.5 hours and just I don't know. I like that's actually like a De Niro part. So I'm actually pretty critical of De Niro. You know, when he plays these gangster roles or these underworld type roles, that he pretty much is playing himself for a lot of these different roles. I'm not talking about like Taxi Driver. I'm talking more like the Goodfellas, Bronx Tale days. And I feel like sometimes you could argue in this time frame he's kind of channeling the same thing, but there's some depth with what he's doing, and it parallels well with Pacino's character and the way it's written. Like he's very intentional what he's doing, and you can tell he's going for it, but not in the way that Pacino is. You know, but I still love
like,
it. Great ones.
and like going back to the De Niro Pacino, like it's just like De Niro does have like the better lines, I think. Like I think Pacino, like you said, it's kind of too cartoonish at times. De Niro's like, what is that? Ball games and barbecues, like talking about retirement. Then he's like talking
Ordinary
about
life, ball
yeah,
games
and
and
it's like
barbecue.
no, and it's just a cooler character. It's just a cooler character, like those lines, and he's the heist guy. Like that's who you're gonna follow. That's who you're gonna like as a viewer. That's who you're gonna align with. And I think that De Niro just absolutely is a stud in that movie. I would say that performance is better than the Tom Cruise performance in Collateral and the Jamie
Wow,
Foxx Oscar nominee. I would have to rewatch both.
I
Just to
love Tom
be
Cruise
sure.
in Collateral. Dude. He's
I
so
know.
good.
You drafted it for Tom Cruise roles, but
Mhm.
no, yeah, God damn, I'm so happy. But this kind of like, I don't mean to step on your toes, Doc, but I was preparing for this checkup here because I saw the news that John Wick prequel series, The Continental, is moving from Stars to Peacock.
Yep.
So, and you mentioned Stars streaming. Do you know how many subscribers Stars has?
I'm guessing a lot.
Like, if you had to put out a guess.
Okay, so like, can you compare it to another streaming service? Maybe maybe HBO Max or like what does Peacock
So,
have currently?
okay, I'll do Hulu. So
Okay,
Hulu has
so
45 million
I'm gonna
ish.
guess Stars has 25.
Okay, wow, good guess. So Stars, not with Stars Encore, just Stars
Mm-hmm.
is 25, just about 25 million.
We
With
can't
Star
we can't forget before streaming services, it was like HBO and then Stars was number two in terms of
yeah.
like premium, like
Uh
behind a paywall. It's not just cable. Like for me, it was at least HBO is where I looked first, and then Stars.
well
Right. Then obviously, go
this
ahead.
is what I was going to say. So I was going to say it's HBO then Showtime.
Nah,
The show,
me, not for me.
I think Showtime has the better shows.
Yeah,
Ray
but
Donovan,
like
yeah.
I don't touch any like for terms of premium type of television. I don't watch anything but HBO.
Mhm.
Like that's just the way it
Yeah.
goes, baby.
Not anymore.
Like I'm not
Now with
watching
streaming,
Stars shows.
yeah,
I'm
not
not
anymore.
watching Showtime shows. Like I got all I need with HBO. That's the one I trust the most. Right. I'm just not going to waste my time. That's what I did growing up.
But I think just Showtime has 27 million subs, okay? Do you know so again, John Wick prequel is going to Peacock from Stars. Do you know how many subs Peacock has?
10.
13 million. And it's
Damn,
for
why
free
am I
if you're in a
so good at predicting these numbers, dude? It's kind of crazy. Whenever you ask me, like, can you guess? Predict this. I always come within like 5. Whether 5 million, whatever the metric is, I come
It's
within
good.
5 every
You're
time.
good.
Rotten Tomatoes, this or that, audience score. Like my brain's an encyclopedia. I don't know how.
But
Good.
I think I think what we're missing here because of the Netflix Disney Plus rivalry going on, right? I think we're missing Peacock is struggling. Like they're at 13 million. They've stayed flat with subscribers in back-to-back quarters so far in 2022. They're losing $500 million a quarter here. Like it's crazy.
This is
And
what
they
happens when you
Universal.
base an entire streaming service on The Office. You just have everything. It's like The Office is your centerpiece. You put that in the middle, and then like everything's just like clutter around it. Like, okay, yeah, we'll throw this every once in a while. This, that. Like they don't have any recognizable. Like, oh, I'm going to like HBO because I know Game of Thrones is there, and I know The Sopranos is there. I'm not going to like Amazon. You could say The Boys and Invincible is on there, or you might even talk about I don't know, like the adult, more mature. I think is Miss Maisel on there. Is
Yeah.
that Amazon? Fleabag, I believe, is Amazon too,
Yes. Yes.
right? And
Invincible.
like Hulu, Disney Connection, Disney Plus, obviously the Marvel shows. What has Peacock given you other than The Office and Parks and Rec? You think
They're
you can
still
have people subscribe just for those two shows?
I think they're still relying on cable and sports. They have Brooklyn
Oh, sports, yeah.
Nine-Nine, like other shows like that.
Sunday Night
That
Football.
Yeah, and then they have Sunday Night Football, Premier League. Like they're relying on sports, and it's just clearly not working. And like Xfinity, if you have an Xfinity account, you get Peacock for free, and you only have 13 million subs. I just don't get it.
That's
I like
crazy.
everyone. Xfinity's like the clear cable leader. I think I just don't understand how like they only have this little, and they have Universal, one of the largest, the top six, like probably top four movie studios in the world, and they still only have 13 million because they have the IP, they have the content for movies. They have great movies on there, and they just aren't getting any subs. And I think it's just a low key, just the John Wick prequel series. Like, no, I was like shocked because I was just like, wow, Peacock is struggling, and they're moving it from a 25 million subscriber base to only 13. I don't know, just seemed off to me.
I was shocked that the Continental was at Stars in the first place, to be honest. Just based on the fact that John Wick, when's the first one come out? Like 2015, 2014, something like that. So like
Mhm.
streaming services very much existed. And then obviously the popularity rises where they've had two more since the original. You got John Wick 4 trailer that already came out. On the Armas and a spinoff. It just seems like Stars really for like something with like the profitability of a John Wick franchise there. I just didn't really see it. Who produces John Wick? What studio?
I think it is
Is it Universal? I always thought it was like Warner Brothers for some reason.
I'll look it up.
Ricky Flex researching.
John Wick 2014 confirmed.
I always thought it was Warner Brothers. That's why I was like surprised it wasn't on HBO.
Produced by production company. Oh, distributed by Lionsgate.
Really? Oh, wait, I can see that actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So interesting way to start the episode. Nice job, Ricky, shoehorning in that topic right there for John Wick prequel series. I think we should move on to a little DC corner because this is where we've gone pretty much every episode, every checkup for the past month because they can't stay out of the news. There's always so much going on. A lot of times it's not directly related to movies, but rather those associated with the production and like the actors that are performing in these blockbusters. Let's start off Ezra Miller. Let's go to it. Okay. So we haven't recorded a checkup in about a week. So a lot of stuff's happened with Ezra Miller since then. So there has been three options that Warner Brothers is considering, or three scenarios for the upcoming Flash film when it comes to Ezra Miller. So Ezra Miller gave an apology yesterday. He said, quote, to everyone that I've alarmed and upset with my past behavior, end quote, well, not end quote. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have been begun ongoing treatment. Right, that end quote. So Ezra Miller with an apology after being arrested a week ago for like the 10th time in the last year. So there has been three scenarios that Warner Brothers is considering in response to this. The first scenario is that Ezra Miller gives an interview explaining that their erratic behavior and then doing limited press for The Flash. Option two, Ezra Miller plays no part in the film's promotion. And then option three, they completely scrap the film. So those are the three options on the table. We get this public apology from Ezra Miller, the first time we've heard from him in pretty much years. So Ricky Flicks, what are our thoughts? You got those three options in front of you. We've heard from Ezra Miller. What works best for the studio?
I still don't change my mind. They cannot scrap this film. They cannot scrap it. And how do you not have the lead actor not in the promo? But I could see that happening here. I could see them using the excuse of mental illness. and him saying, "Oh, he just needs time away," but they can't not have this film release. So I still think it'll happen. I could definitely see option 2, him playing no part in the promo, but the movie's still coming out. What I would like to see, I need some interview. I need to see an interview, but I need to see interview like 60 minutes, like R. Kelly style or Charlie Sheen. I need to see something to get him to see this erratic behavior that
Wow.
he quoted himself. I need to see this, or I need to see it in a promo trip. It's go like him be a part of the promotion and going around America or the world. Like I need to see something because him just being no part in anything as the lead, I for entertainment value, I want to see it.
If I was at Warner Brothers and I was contemplating these three options, number one's got to be out the window. Like, I cannot have this guy a one-on-one with Oprah. I cannot have that. There's going to be a moment where it could be R. Kelly with the "you kill me right now." Like, it could be that. It could be a Charlie Sheen where it goes like winning. Hello. Like, it was like in terms of a potential disaster or chaotic moment that could result in this interview, I think it's a high likelihood. Then again, as you're saying, for us audiences and for those who are just following the story that on our timeline with each passing day, we're going to want to see this. And it's almost like it's like you can't look away from the train wreck, right? It just keeps getting worse. And you're just like, oh my God, it's going to culminate potentially with an interview with like Oprah. To me, or what if like Ellen did it? Like two of the most hateable people in the history of the internet right now, or at least the modern history of the modern recent history of the internet with Ellen and Ezra Miller. I think option two, it's incredible that you don't have the lead actor. He is the Flash. You pretty much need him to promote the film, right? Because he is the Flash. If he's not, he's probably playing the villain here too. There's two Ezra Millers in this movie. Like he is on the screen for probably what 75% of this movie, probably more. He's the lead. You
Yeah,
know,
he's definitely the lead. I could definitely see like instead of him being the villain, like being Future Flash, something like that. So like still not villain, but maybe a villain. I don't know. We don't know for sure yet. But yeah,
just
I
because
also
we've
think
had no indication of who the villain is, and we've only seen two Ezra Millers, like Reverse Flash, the popular Flash villain. You know, time travel, like one person coming back in time. Like it seems like it wouldn't be surprising if he was the villain.
right. I will just say on the quote saying like he's gone through an intense crisis about mental health issues and he's being treated. Like, dude, you still like committed crimes and assaults and burglary. Like you still like you're a criminal and you're basically getting off because of who you are. Like it's ridiculous.
How is he not
And
in prison? Like, how is he not in jail? Like, how is he
I don't
not behind
understand how
bars?
he's allowed to go from Hawaii to Vermont and not be like on house arrest after committing multiple assaults before the burglary. Like, I just
Yo,
don't understand what is going on with like, how does he not like house arrest or not allowed to leave the state? I don't know.
wait, like, are these court dates happening? Like, I don't remember like ever seeing like he's like Ezra Miller has gone to court to face this charge or this. Like, and we see him getting arrested all the time. He's clearly a danger to society. And like I Warner Brothers, like, how are you letting this guy just like roam around without like security? Like, he is such an like he's not even an asset. He's just something you need to protect for the sake of your huge $200 million movie that you're set to release, and your DC extended universe is in turmoil right now, and he is doing nothing but pouring gasoline on a fire. Like
Right.
he is the real life Joker, bro. He is the real life Joker. Like Joker spilling the gas on his half of the money in the Dark Knight. That's Ezra Miller with the stockpile of money that Warner Brothers has. He's like, I'm just burning my half, baby, and he's just pouring gas all over it and lighting it up. That's what he's doing right in front of Slav and
Not
company.
about the money. No, and it's weird too, because in a month, the Salvador Dali movie's coming out with Ben Kingsley, and he's supposedly the young Dali.
I forgot what music festival is coming up. I don't believe it's Cannes. What is coming up?
Wait, movie festival.
There's a movie festival coming up where Ezra Miller
Venice?
was. Yes. I confuse those two a lot.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller was removed from the casting list by the Venice Film Festival.
Wow.
He's not even on it. right? But I think he's playing Dali. Like he is the guy that the
playing
whole movie's based on.
well, so Ben, it's like based in 1973, so it's like an older Dolly. So like Ben Kingsley is going to be the lead, but I think it's like flashbacks to like his younger self, and that's Ezra Miller. So like like how in the Lost
When did
Daughter,
they shoot
Jesse
this movie? Like, did they not hear about like this guy that's going to Hawaii and terrorizing, drunkenly running around? Like, did they not hear about that? How was he in this movie?
No, I bet they shot it like pre-COVID and just hasn't come out. Like I don't
Wow.
know, like but yeah, like I think it's gonna be like a Lost Daughter situation, like Jesse Buckley versus or like and Olivia Colman playing the same
Oh,
person, but the
nice. Yeah.
flashbacks. That's what I think it's gonna be. But yeah, like that's crazy how this is coming out and no one's talking about it.
It's ridiculous. This dude is crazy. He's like, I can't believe it. Like, and like, I think like you could rename this movie. I mentioned this. I wrote a blog about it. Check it out at the Drive-In Pod website. But you just, if you're the Flash is not a part of the promotion, right? The Flash himself, Ezra Miller, you just rename the movie Batman Flashpoint, right? You just have those, like have Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton be the centerpiece of the promotion, but you can't just have like those two standing together and it just says The Flash. It's like if you had Spider-Man No Way Home for this would never happen, but like hopefully fingers crossed. Like Tom Holland gets in a bunch of trouble or something, and you have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield doing the promotion for the film, and they were in the trailers and everything, and the name of the movie is The Hulk. That's like the same thing as if it would happen. Like it just makes no sense, right? You just need the Flash promoting the Flash, or else everyone's going to be all sorts of confused, especially if you don't follow Twitter, you're not on the internet a lot, you're not following that Ezra Miller is a complete psychopath. I think you should scrap it personally. Get rid of it.
You can't scrap the film.
Yes, you can. DCU is broken anyway. Yeah. You could just have a tour, like an interview tour with Ezra Miller. Say, hey, we need to make back this money. This is all your fault. Just go around with Ellen and Oprah, going to different interviews or a different interviewer for every spot. Pay-per-view. Okay. You got people attending live. You recoup some of that money because I think people are going to want to see what this dude has to say.
Dude, this movie will make money. Ben Affleck, Batfleck, Snyder Cut stands will go see this movie. We'll see this movie.
Old school Batman, yeah.
And Keaton. What if it's good? What if it's good? Word of mouth spreads, and then look, it's already back.
No one is going to like. First of all, critics, I don't think will allow this movie to be good, just because of what Ezra Miller has become. Like, I think, like, first of all, it's gonna be very. It's like when they're trying to find jurors and then making sure like you have no biases right before you before a court before a trial happens. Like how are you going to have zero bias when you are watching this movie? How are you going to look at Ezra Miller and be like, wow, what an amazing actor, like without thinking in your mind, oh my God, he's the guy who chucked a chair at the woman's head in Honolulu, or he's the guy who drunkenly or for some reason, like where 3 people disappeared on this piece of land that he has in Vermont. Like it's just the guy is too sketchy, and people are just going to think so badly of him. I think it's going to kind of interrupt the movie. I just think that's inevitable, which is a shame. I can't see me watching it being like, oh my God, Ezra Miller, like what a great future he's got ahead of him. Like it's just not going to happen.
It is kind of crazy though. So like he kind of got his start from Royal Pains, right? Similar to Timothy Chalamet there. And then like Perks of Being a Wallflower. Like he had that start and then he becomes the Flash, right? It's just like, man, this guy's going on, like he's going places. And now I think after this, like after the Flash comes out, which I think it will, he might be done for like years, like not being anything.
He's like uncancelable though. He would have been done a while ago. He just unless he's not being cast in any new projects. I think he's already canceled, to be honest. Like there's no way he's not gonna be the Flash again. Like this Dali movie is coming out, probably shot a long time ago. I can't see going on discussing film and seeing Ezra Miller has been cast in yada yada yada. I can't see that happening for you.
I could see like in like 5 years him getting cast like the big KS did in like some small role. Like that, no one's gonna ever see that movie, you know, some really small movie that won't make $1 million at the box office.
Almost like what just happened with James Franco, where he just got cast as like Fidel Castro, and also a problematic
That's a little big
type of movie. It is big, but I'm saying I'm saying that we haven't like James Franco has been hiding from the spotlight for a lot of years now, right? For a handful of years now. And like Seth Rogen saying he was never going to work with him again, even though they were like best friends in the industry and things like that.
Which is crazy.
Obviously, I don't know if I don't think he was charged, but like there's evidence that is supposedly going around that he has had relationships with underage like teenagers and things like that. And then all of a sudden he's being cast as Fidel Castro. Like that's wild to me. And then people are also calling out cultural appropriation. I can't imagine a worse movie to come back after being canceled than like playing a different race than
Fidel
what you
Castro.
are. That is such
It's
just a
terrible.
catastrophic situation.
It's James Franco, wild.
But I love how we keep like going from these actors who are like they're trying to like map out these situations that they're in, like what's next for them. And it's interesting enough, like you want to connect. I don't know what happened in the recent Fantastic Beasts film, and I don't even know if like Ezra Miller is still in
He
that.
was in that.
Is Ezra Miller coming back for that movie? Like I think that franchise set a precedent after getting rid of Johnny Depp, right? And his relationship with Amber Heard and the trial that was coming. And what do we hear literally yesterday on Twitter is that Mads Mikkelsen says in a shocking turn of events that Johnny Depp might be coming back to replace Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald after Mikkelsen replaced Johnny Depp like when this trial was happening. What is going on in this industry right now?
Wait, what was the tweet?
Did you saw this, right?
No.
What? You didn't see this? So like
Did Mads Mikkelsen?
Mads Mikkelsen was he was being interviewed. And he was asked like, what are the chances that Johnny Depp like is somehow like involved with this franchise again? And I don't have the direct quote, but he said like, we'll see. He said he might return. Like there's a possibility that he comes back to the role. And this is happening at the same time as Ezra Miller is going through this crap. And what we immediately associate Ezra Miller with is the Flash. But is he also going to be like, is this going to be consequential for the Fantastic Beasts franchise as well? To me, it's kind of nuts. I'll find this tweet really quick and I'll read it to you.
That's amazing to me. Like, I actually thought the Fantastic Beasts movies would end after this one, right? This is the third one.
I think they have to make 5.
They have to make. Why do they have to make 5? Did they like say they had to, or what?
Well, they said they were going to stretch out the book into 5 movies, and the third one did not complete like the arc of all these characters.
That is ridiculous.
Let me look this up. Mads
Mikkelsen. My God, he's still like, I don't know, not safe. Like he's like all reliable. I love Mads.
Yeah, so do I, especially after another round. Like to me, he can do no wrong. But here's the tweet. It says Mads Mikkelsen says Johnny Depp may return as Gellert Grindelwald now that he won his trial. "Quote unquote, let's see." He said, "Let's see if he comes back." Like he opened up a door, and like if I was Mads Mikkelsen, I haven't been able to compare performances. I haven't seen the second one. I haven't seen the third one. To me, it's just crazy. I'm like, they don't look alike at all either. So it's just like you're confusing these audiences that don't know, aren't in the know with what's going on. Like if you don't know what's going on with Johnny Depp, I guess like you're living under a rock. But at the same time, like there are those type of people, you know, that are just like old school, just read the books. They want to read like Fantastic Beasts and then just jump to the movies, you know?
I still can't believe they're making 2 more. That's ridiculous to me. Do we watch these? I still haven't.
I was thinking about it last night when I was surfing through movies, and we've been on this like this drought of movies and drought of like quality content. So I thought this is like something I can watch, even though I know it's not going to be something that's going to be up my alley or anything like that. I think we should move on with the other news in the DC corner, because I know we got diverted a little bit there. HBO Max, they've been in the news right now. What's happened with Batgirl? There's been a lot of news and then a lot of rumors regarding DC series that are up in the air right now. Well, there are no questions with this one. Constantine, a series that I believe is going to be produced by J.J. Abrams, is preparing to begin filming in early 2023. That series is happening. Rick, do you have familiarity with this character?
Yeah, Constantine. He like Apocalypse War, was it DC Justice League
War.
Dark?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Like Constantine's it's a juicy character. He's like an anti-hero. Like he's a hero, but like kind of like an a-hole to like the rest compared to the rest of the Justice League. Detective, British, historically blonde, and Caucasian, like kind of a ladies' man. What else? Very violent, right? Violent, dark. Just by
Kind of gives me a Rorschach vibe a little bit, like without a mask. Like I don't know
right,
how
but he's also
he's got
like
an
he has
edge to him.
superpowers. He has superpowers. Like
Yeah.
he has
Mhm.
like I don't know, like magic. Like I don't want to say magic, but it's magic.
You know how we do like those Marvel parallels? Like if we looked at
Yeah, he's basically Doctor
like
Strange.
Batman and Moon Knight, like to me, it's like, yeah, a little bit of Doctor Strange. I was thinking of someone like the Gambit a little bit too of the
Yeah,
X-Men.
a little more powerful than Gambit though. He's like Constantine's really powerful.
And I believe this was the character that Keanu Reeves did a movie on back in the early 21st century,
05,
right? Early
0506.
2000s, right? Mid 2000s. And people have been having discussions of whether Keanu would potentially return to this role, especially after the multiverse is going to be explored in the DCEU with the upcoming Flash movie, right? If it actually happens. Yeah, so I guess this is interesting just because of the J.J. Abrams aspect of the DCEU. The shows that he was planning to produce, those really haven't gotten off the ground since he has signed this deal. I believe a 5-project deal with Bad Robot and Warner Brothers. So at least this one's getting off the ground. Added to the collection alongside Peacemaker, which is also confirmed to have its season 2 and will be shot. So, and to add on to this, with more of this Warner Brother news, this one caught a lot of people by surprise. I take it with a grain of salt. The Batman 2 has not been officially greenlit yet, but Matt Reeves is currently working on the script. So people are nervous that Batman, with all his DCEU hubbubaloo, will not have a sequel, and for some reason they might scrap Matt Reeves' franchise, or they might have uh, further aims to incorporate more DC characters. Ricky Flex, what's your reaction to this? Are we getting a Batman 2 set in the Reeveverse?
Yeah, this is no. I don't know why this made such news waves. Like this is happening. Like there's no way they're not having a sequel,
People are
and let
freaking
alone
out about it.
trilogy. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So I honestly think it's a nothing burger. Going back to Constantine real quick. I I was thinking like since this is confirmed, they got to have a cast of Constantine soon, right? And I don't think it'll be Keanu. I think it'll be
Hmm.
someone younger. I do think they'll try to go for the British side. What are you laughing at over there?
I feel like Ryan Gosling should play this dude.
All right, so I created this list
He
here.
looks just like him.
Yeah, he looks just like him.
And he's got that edge to him,
Quick-witted,
sarcastic. Yeah.
quick-witted, yeah, sarcastic, like can be selfish and dark at times. We've seen that. Detective, he's played detective before. I wrote down Gosling. I know he's not English either, but Gosling. You know who else I wrote down is Charlie Hunnam. Come back. He is British. Has played darker characters before on a la Sons of Anarchy, King Arthur. Looks like him as well. I wrote down Tom Felton Malfoy.
Oh no, no, I can't. You can't.
I could
You
see it.
can't. I can see him in a CW version of Constantine.
Yes, yes. A la the Flash. I wrote down Alexander Ludwig. He looks like him too.
Give
Lone
me an update.
Survivor, Hunger Games, Bad Boy for Life. He looks like Alexander Skarsgård a little bit, but not jacked.
Who's the other guy from Hunger Games that could play him?
Josh Hutcherson.
Nope. No. It's a side character. He was in the Me Before You with Emilia Clarke. Sam Claflin. Sam Claflin.
Mm,
He was in also Peaky Blinders. The fascist.
right. And I guess some other names I wrote down real quick. Some British people. George McKay, your boy from Wolf, 1917.
Yeah, George Mackay. Get it right.
McKay. Yeah. I wrote down. All right. Just Tom Hiddleston. I think would be awesome, but I know he's low key. Aaron Taylor Johnson. I thought would be good. Another British guy, but he's obviously going to be another superhero soon. McAvoy, James McAvoy. I could see that. Tom Hardy. I could see.
Tom Hardy would be an
Hardy.
awesome one. Like Tom Hardy with the jacket and the like almost like the mysteriousness to him and what's going on behind those eyes. What's going on with Tom Hardy? That's
right,
good.
right.
Like, yeah.
And then just two more. Ben Foster. I could also see. And
we just need we honestly if we're looking for British dudes, right? You see, we need a guy who has blondish hair or else can rock blonde hair that can wear that type of jacket. What's it? What is it? The like that pea coat or like
Right, right.
you know what I'm talking
The
about.
detective jacket, the
Yeah.
classic detective jacket.
But like this guy, Constantine's such an interesting character because he has his own sector in the DCEU with the Justice League Dark and all that stuff. But also he coincides with like some Batman stories and like other members of the Justice League. So this is kind of a crucial character to get right because we could be seeing this man on film, right? Not just in this series, crossing over right from HBO Max to the big screen. So I think this is a big time casting, and I think you're putting out a lot of good names there. Personally, I think Gosling is the perfect guy. That's what I thought of immediately. And the quick-witted sarcasm, I think, is perfect.
Yeah, he'll be great.
All right. So let's move on with the checkup. Let's get out of the DC corner. And let's move on with the animated corner. Kung Fu Panda 4 is coming. It's going to release March 8th, 2024 in theaters. Ricky Flex, what's your reaction to another Kung Fu Panda movie?
Do we really need to?
Come
it's
on,
getting out of
Ricky.
hand.
That's the reaction of a new Jack Black as Poe.
You're a big Jack Black guy.
Love
I
Jack
am as
Black.
well, but out of 4 Kung Fu Panda movies, 4?
It's like Shrek. It's turning to Shrek.
Yes, that's a good comp. It is literally turned into Shrek. I love Kung Fu Panda. I think it's actually probably now underrated since like I think time people just forget about it. That was awesome. I love Kung Fu Panda. The second one and third ones, like Shrek 2, banger. I was just watching that the other day. Shrek 2, absolute banger. But Kung Fu Panda 2, not a banger. Kung Fu Panda 3, not a banger. I actually think Shrek Forever After, awesome movie. I actually
Kung
love
Fu
that.
Panda 1, I think, is in the same tier as Shrek and Shrek 2, though. I'll push it.
The
I'll push
lower
it and
end of
say
the
that.
tier, I'll say that.
I don't think it's better than Shrek 1 or Shrek 2, but I think it's in that vicinity. It's
I
in
agree.
that like that non-Pixar animated movies where it's just like, wow. It's like almost like God tier of outside Pixar animated movies. 21st century. It's right there.
Yeah, I actually completely agree.
Like I have it over Despicable Me. I'd rather watch Kung Fu Panda than
Yes,
Despicable Me.
easy.
But
Too
the people would have
easy.
Despicable Me in there.
That's just
What are the
because
other
of like
ones?
what's going on right now.
What are the other like animated films that belong in there? Like How to Train Your Dragon is a popular one. Does that make it in there? People love those movies. I've never seen one.
I would say How to Train Your Dragon is on the level of Kung Fu Panda. Not me personal favorites, but I think just like if you're looking at quality, it's like, oh, it's probably the same.
Man, anything else that comes to mind? Animated movies like Sausage Party, probably not making the top tier.
I was thinking like franchises.
Yeah, that too. That's what they usually are paired with. Like Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots doesn't make it. Spin-off Shrek.
Hotel Transylvania.
Transylvania. That's one. I'm trying to think.
The Croods.
Klaus. Klaus makes it top tier.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Klaus makes it top tier.
Yeah, I guess the non-Disney, non-Pixar, like I guess I would say those we hit all the main franchises animated wise.
Oh, so Into the Spider-Verse obviously is better than all those.
Yeah, Sony. Yeah, that's just unbelievable. Yeah, and like Iron Giant, my first overall pick in that draft. Love that movie.
Dipping right below 21st century in 99. But I respect you slipping that in there. Definitely deserves that top tier selection. All right. We're doing Bullet Train later this week, so I think we have some Bullet Train news in terms of like the director and actors coming from Bullet Train. Really quickly, Emily Blunt's been cast alongside Ryan Gosling, Speak of the Devil, and David Leitch's The Fall Guy. The film releases on March 1st, 2024 in theaters. And then to go with like David Leitch, obviously, Bullet Train, who was in Bullet Train, by Brian Tyree Henry. Brian Tyree Henry has been cast as the lead in Sinking Spring, an 8-episode drug ring drama from Apple TV Plus. Peter Craig's going to write the series with Ridley Scott set to executive produce and direct at least the first episode. Ricky Flicks, any comments on this news stemming from the Bullet Train cast and director?
The Apple TV, again, leaning towards quality. Ridley Scott, Peter Craig. I think those are just two like names that you think of quality movies. Yes, Ridley Scott does a crap ton of movies, just makes movies nonstop throughout the years, past 40 years. But for the most part, quality. Apple TV Plus, just focused on that. Good to see. And then Emily Blunt, Ryan Gosling, David Leitch. Sounds like a good combination, right? David Leitch, think of action, good action, right? Ryan Gosling, what's he doing now? Post his Oscar nominated run, he's doing The Gray Man, The Fall Guy. He's doing that action oriented. And Emily Blunt, since Edge of Tomorrow, she's been kind of in that same boat. So this seems just like non-surprising news on there. Good combination to have, like two A-listers, male and female, plus with a rising action director, maybe the best right now going.
Yeah, two A-listers that are just keeping up the pace that they were, or keeping up the same course that they were on. So obviously Gosling, Gray Man, and then he's kind of teaming up with David Leitch. You're going from the Russo brothers to David Leitch. These are two of the most prominent directors in terms of action films that we have in Hollywood right now. Emily Blunt, she's been on this trajectory, less away from the indies and less towards these prestigious type of films, but more towards this Jungle Cruises of the world, the Mary Poppins Returns of the world, and now Long Gosling in a David Leitch movie. And you said you brought up Edge of Tomorrow. David Leitch, you're going to expect some insane action sequences. We know both these characters can pull it off. Looks cool. And Brian Tyree Henry, dude, I love him in everything he does. He rarely misses. I guess Eternals, I didn't love it, but he's awesome in Atlanta. I loved him in Bullet Train. I liked him in Bullet Train. I did not love him in Bullet Train. But he doesn't really miss, and he's a really exciting young actor. He seems like he's always playing a part in a supporting role or now even a lead role in like TV shows and movies that are just becoming more prominently known. So good for him. You know, I'm interested. The whole cast of Atlanta is doing huge things.
Yeah, no, another like coming up, like, yeah, very small minor roles to supporting roles. Then like Atlanta kind of like catapulted him to like prominent supporting roles in like huge movies. And then now it's like, all right, you're getting an Apple TV Plus show with Ridley Scott and Peter Craig. Like that's pretty remarkable. So like that come up is huge for him, and I'm excited to see going forward what he's going to do.
All right, and then finally, we got really quick two more stories. Speaking of franchises, Viola Davis has been cast as Dr. Volumnia Gaul in The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, that arrives in theaters November 2023. We also get a look at Rachel Zegler and a first still in Thomas Blythe from Vanity Fair. Do we care about this? Are you going to watch it? This is like the names Rachel Zegler and Viola Davis. Are they enough to pull you into this spin-off or prequel, for Hunger Games?
Rachel Zegler, no. Now even with the stills, did not care. The Viola Davis makes me interested. Will I see it based on that alone? Still no, because I don't care enough for this franchise or anything about this movie. But if it does well critically, after like the movie like gets its first like once before like it releases on the weekend release and the Rotten Tomato score comes out and it's like 90 something, yeah, I'll definitely see this movie with Viola Davis in it. So it's a wait and see right now. Still don't care.
Viola Davis definitely brings this project some legitimacy. A lot of the names that we see are younger actors. Other than Rachel Zegler, a lot of the other ones are unproven. I think Rachel Zegler is taking a very interesting path since West Side Story. I think for some reason, instead of going to, she's taken her path instead of going to more prestigious award like contender type of films. Instead, she's going the blockbuster path, but she's not even going like top tier blockbuster path, which is really weird. Like she's going instead from West Side Story with Spielberg to Shazam! Fury of the Gods and the spinoff for the Hunger Games. Like I feel like if she waited out a little more patience, I think like that money would have been thrown at her and like much I guess more likely to succeed projects. I think this is kind of interesting. Like Shazam, like we barely saw her in the trailer. I assume she's gonna have a further role in the DCEU, but I feel like she could have played a character that was much more in demand than what she ended up with. And like this prequel series, and now I'm more interested with Viola Davis, but just because Rachel Zegler was in it initially, I wasn't like, oh, I gotta go see this. You know, she doesn't hold the weight of a Katniss Everdeen with J Law. You know, and the fact that it was her birthday yesterday and she's 32 blows my mind. I would have thought she was like closer to 40, but she's been in our lives so long, ever since like Winter's Bone. So it's just she's always been here. But yeah, any thoughts on Zegler's path so far?
Yeah, she took the blockbuster path. So she took, all right, she got her breakthrough performance.
Sold out.
Yeah, she basically sold out, not just for money though. She wanted to be seen by more audiences, right? Box office, blockbuster. That's what path you could do. You could be a superhero, like like that could be your path. And then after you're a superhero, you're an A-lister, and then you're big enough, you can get any role you want and like take the whatever route you want to take after, because that will lead you to the opportunities. That's what she's trying to do here. I think my only problem is Hunger Games past its prime. And this movie, like, we forget, like, Viola Davis, arguably the best actress in Hollywood right now, but she was in Suicide Squad. She was in, like, she's been in bad movies too that she has prominent roles in.
Oh
So,
yeah.
like, I think that her being in it doesn't, like, say stamp of approval as in this movie's going to be great. She's going to be great. You know that. It's just that will the movie itself be good? This Hunger Games franchise that's past its prime, I don't know. I'm on it. And Rachel Zegler then also being a side character in Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, like not the lead or co-lead that she was in West Side Story. I just find that like a step down, if anything. So I think if her, who's also a little bit unproven herself, what has she done in a non-musical like role? Nothing. She's
Yeah,
like, this
super
is
young. Yeah.
yeah, she's super young. So it's like, all right, well, this is kind of a risk, because if she doesn't do well in either of these two movies, it's like, all right, like you're kind of done.
And like J Law was putting out bangers in the early 2010s
Yeah.
while she was Katniss Everdeen. Like she was like, yeah, like she got nominated for an Oscar so young in her career. She's one of the youngest, I guess, female actresses to be nominated for an Oscar, for, like Winter's Bone, right? Like she was a teenager.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld was less for True Grit.
Oh yeah, for True
Oh
Grit.
yeah.
I always like confuse those two because I think like time frame and everything like that,
Right.
and also like the setting. Like I just confuse those two
Yeah.
movies. Viola Davis though, I feel like she's like reached. She is at that level where if a movie's bad, it's never her fault. There's always like
I totally
those
agree
type
with
of
that.
actors like Viola Davis, like Suicide Squad's bad. She had her guy. She did great. Like she had her job. She did her job. Everybody else, it was their fault. I feel like that's Viola Davis and everything. She's gonna be awesome in this. And yeah, I got really nothing else to say. Like, who cares about Hunger Games, to be honest? Last thing on the checkup. Remake discussion dominates film conversations during this time. Kenya Barris, who I think created Blackish, right? Blackish, the TV show, is set to direct a modernized remake of The Wizard of Oz. We had a semi-remake with The Wiz in 1978, featuring Michael Jackson, did terribly financially at the box office. We then have the upcoming Wicked film. That's a remake of the play, or I guess an adaptation of the play starring Ariana Grande. Ricky Flex, what's your reaction to Warner Brothers, right? A studio that's in a lot of turmoil right now, deciding to take on the iconic 1939 film.
It's an interesting time to do it. It's not the right time to do it. It's a huge risk for a guy. Yes, Blackish he's won primetime Emmys for Blackish, okay. But besides that, this man wrote Coming to America. This guy is a writer for the next Kevin Hart movie that's basically Lottery Ticket 2.0. It's I would say unreliable showrunner, or whatever you want to say, not showrunner, someone to take on this project is just so unreliable. I think, yes, for his mode,
Unproven.
unproven, like, yes, Blackish is successful, but that's cable. That's completely different. That is a pure cable play. And that is just different than premium television, let alone a remake of The Wizard of Oz. It is a huge gamble. I don't understand it. And at this time when there's such turmoil, or I guess just negative headlines coming at Warner Brothers right now, it's just not the time. Huge mistake. But you never know. Like, this guy clearly has talent. Like, I was just not who I would have thought for this project, let alone this to even happen right now.
I don't like this, mainly because Wizard of Oz is one of the most beloved movies ever made, and a lot of people find it to be their favorite movie, or they find it like one that is pretty much untouchable and almost a perfect movie. So if people try and take on a movie that is looked at in this light, like, it's obviously an absurd challenge, and you need someone at the helm who has an understanding of the movie, but also has an understanding of their own vision of it. And again, you see it with the modernized remake of Wizard of Oz. Like maybe there's something in the cards here. But this guy, we don't know him, Kenya Barris. I have no idea who he is. I've never seen Blackish. It had a lot of steam when it was first debuted. I think that died off. I don't know if it was still getting nominated for Emmys like later on in the seasons that were coming off of it, off the first season. But we just saw West Side Story be adapted, right? Remade by Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg can do whatever he wants. If he was doing Wizard of Oz, I'd be like, go ahead, go for it.
I'd be like, Oscars coming at you. Similar to West Side Story.
He has shown that he can take a beloved film and then elevate it, right? And something that he probably would never want to do again, because obviously it was so much riding on like the 1961 film, right? Which wins 10 of 11 Oscars. And then you have the West Side Story that obviously is like Rachel Zegler, Ansel Elgort. There's like some controversy surrounding it, and yet Spielberg still delivers. That I'm like, okay, Spielberg can do that. But Kenya Barris, are you going to deliver a movie at the level of 1939's Wizard of Oz? And I think it's setting up for disaster before it even happens, or it's not disaster, but just failure. There's no way it can live up to expectations. People are going to dismiss it before it even comes out. And I mean, if you're talking about a 1939 film adapted, for 2022, it's going to have elements people are going to be rolling their eyes at. It's inevitable. Right. There's going to be different castings that people are going to like take exception to. Right. Just don't even bother with it. Just try and make something new. Don't adapt something that people are have too tight of a relationship with.
Yeah. And like Kenya Barris, like clearly strong connection to the Black community. Right. Like Shaft. He wrote Shaft. He wrote Barbershop, The Next Cut, Blackish, Coming to America. Like he just clearly that's his mode right now, and he's doing The White Men Can't Jump. He's writing that as well.
A lot of projects he's working on. Holy crap.
Yeah, like this guy just always works. And he's doing like a couple other TV shows that I never even heard of that are announced but not filming yet. But it's just, is this going to communicate more to the black audience maybe?
I assume so, based on who he works with.
Based on, yes, exactly. Based on his past and what like he clearly is good at. Yes. Okay, then it's going to be clearly a remake, modernized, and obviously 1939 different than 2022. So okay, that's different, but again, it just comes back to, okay, how are you going to like honor the Wizard of Oz here, or like Steven Spielberg honored West Side Story? Like you have to have that like reliability factor, and he just doesn't have that for me right now. Not like a Steven Spielberg.
And we've seen like The Wiz, first of all, was like a black remake of Wizard of Oz. Right? Did not do well. And we forget about the Wizard of Oz prequel that came out from Sam Raimi, Oz the Great and Powerful, starring someone that we talked about earlier this episode with James Franco. And how did those two movies end up? Not too good. So I don't know what the expectations are, but when Warner Brothers is in such hot water right now with unpredictability of projects and what's going to actually happen, what's being greenlit and what's not, this gets greenlit with an unreliable like director, right? With a beloved movie that probably no one, I would say majority of audiences don't want to be touched. So interesting. Who would you put, if let's say this is an all black cast, right? Just based on the filmography and the work that Kenya Barris has done, who plays Oz?
Samuel Jackson.
That's good. Let's end it there. Walk it off. But also, like Wicked's coming. Is that the same studio? Is Warner Brothers doing Wicked?
That would make sense.
It's just, to me, it's like, why are you making this? Like maybe it's supposed to be a direct, like a spin-off of this movie or something. To me, it's just do a remake of Wicked because you're just adapting a play. It's easy and it doesn't have a reputation on screen or in film. Stupid. All right. That's going to do it for the checkup this week. Let's go through what the feed looks like. We obviously have the checkup dropping, and now later on in the week, we got Bullet Train and Brad Pitt top billing draft dropping on Thursday. On Friday, we're doing Bodies, starring Rachel Sennett from the hometown of one Dr. O and Ricky Flex. All right, so we got to show support there. Right, make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're following wherever you're listening right now. Make sure that you are tuning in to social media on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, we're at the Drive-In Pod, and then on Instagram at Drive-In Pod. Make sure you're following, keeping up to date with all the latest movie news and what's going on with the podcast with future releases. Make sure you might be watching on YouTube right now. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to check out our previous videos. Everything's being uploaded on a weekly basis. Make sure to check it out. All right. Make sure you leave a review. Rate us 5 stars on wherever you're listening, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, the whole shebang, wherever you take it in. Rate us 5 stars. That's going to do it for Dr. O and Ricky Flex. Until next time, we will smell ya.